Gabriel Jesus, the Brazilian forward who has electrified Arsenal fans with his pace, skill, and deadly finishing, has reportedly revealed that his time at the Emirates could be coming to an end, and the news has sent shockwaves through the Arsenal faithful. The 25-year-old striker, once hailed as a key piece of Mikel Arteta's ambitious project, appears to be contemplating a move back to his homeland, a decision that has left supporters divided between admiration, disbelief, and frustration. Rumours are swirling that Jesus' heart is drawn to Palmeiras, the club where he first made a name for himself, and sources suggest that both he and the Brazilian side have a lingering desire to reunite. Gabriel himself admitted that the pull of Palmeiras has never faded, stating that the interest will always be there from both him and the club, and even Palmeiras president Leila Pereira has publicly expressed her hope for his eventual return, emphasizing that one day he will come back home. However, the story is far from straightforward. Gabriel has been recovering from a serious ACL injury that sidelined him for months, and his comeback has been painstaking and filled with uncertainty. Arsenal have reportedly supported him throughout his rehabilitation, and Gabriel has acknowledged that leaving the club in the middle of his recovery would not make sense. He has emphasized that there have not yet been any formal discussions with Palmeiras, making it clear that his primary focus is regaining full fitness and helping Arsenal compete for trophies before considering a permanent return to Brazil. Despite these reassurances, the public fascination with his next move has intensified, fueled further by whispers that Flamengo, another Brazilian powerhouse, is preparing a loan offer for Jesus. Reports suggest that Arsenal could allow Flamengo to cover half of his wages, which would facilitate a season-long return to Brazil while leaving the door open for a potential permanent transfer. This revelation has sparked intense debate among fans, as a move to Flamengo would mean he is not returning to his boyhood club and could inflame rivalries and emotions across Brazilian football. Adding to the complexity, Arsenal have sent mixed signals. On one hand, there are claims that the club is open to letting Jesus depart in the next transfer window. On the other hand, Mikel Arteta has insisted that Gabriel remains part of his plans for the squad, while Gabriel himself has reaffirmed his commitment to the team. Yet the dynamics within the squad have changed. Arsenal have strengthened their attacking options, meaning that even once fully fit, Jesus may face stiff competition for a starting role. Fans have reacted passionately, with many expressing shock and feelings of betrayal, fearing that Gabriel could abandon the fight just as he regains his full capabilities. Others worry about the financial implications if a loan deal goes through, particularly with wages being partially covered by Arsenal, and a significant number of supporters are reluctant to see him at any Brazilian club other than Palmeiras, feeling that a move to Flamengo would be unacceptable. Despite all the uncertainty, several scenarios remain possible for Gabriel Jesus. He could go on loan to Flamengo to regain match fitness while potentially paving the way for a permanent transfer. He could eventually return to Palmeiras, closing the circle at his boyhood club and fulfilling a personal dream. He could also choose to stay at Arsenal and fight for his place, contributing to the club's ambitions in the Premier League and Europe once more. Alternatively, a long-term departure could happen in 2027, when his contract with Arsenal reaches its conclusion. Regardless of which path he chooses, Gabriel Jesus' next move will define not only his legacy at Arsenal but also his place in Brazilian football history. Fans across the globe are bracing themselves for an emotional journey, knowing that the coming months will be filled with dramatic twists and high-stakes decisions. Gabriel's story at Arsenal is at a critical crossroads, and whether he stays, goes on loan, or finally returns home, one thing is certain: the saga of the Brazilian star will be remembered for years to come, and every fan, pundit, and rival club will be watching closely. On a crisp morning in early November, as the London club Crystal Palace prepared to navigate the congested contours of their December calendar, manager Oliver Glasner was in no mood for diplomatic niceties. His tone, frank and uncompromising, reflected the frustration bubbling beneath a fixture list that threatens to stretch his squad to the brink. Palace are facing a December schedule so tight it reads like a test of endurance, 8 matches in the space of just over 3 weeks, across league, domestic cup, and European competition. Among them is a quarter-final tie in the Carabao Cup against Arsenal on December 23rd, booked only 2 days after a Premier League trip to Elland Road to face Leeds United. In turn, Palace have already requested that their Premier League fixture at Leeds be pushed forward from Sunday to Saturday, in an attempt to secure at least 2 days recovery before the cup tie. "I think I'm always talking about making mistakes as part of development," Glasner said. "And I think that the EFL and Premier League didn't solve this problem before the start of the season. They will learn from it, and I am pretty sure they will have the solution before the start of the season. Maybe they needed this experience to solve it and not to rely that this won't happen. Again, we will be ready, however the fixture is." From the outset, it's worth noting the complexity of Palace's situation. They are competing in the Premier League, they have a domestic cup run, and they are also involved in the UEFA Europa Conference League, a combination that leaves little breathing room. According to one report, the club could face as many as 4 matches in just 8 days. The raw data tells the story. The key dates show a Premier League away trip to Leeds United scheduled originally for December 21st and a Carabao Cup quarter-final against Arsenal booked for December 23rd, only 2 days later. The original tie date had been December 16th, which would have left Palace playing 4 matches in 8 days. Meanwhile, their European campaign adds extra strain, with the Conference League fixtures occupying crucial midweek slots. In other words, the club finds itself in a fight on 3 fronts: domestic league, domestic cup, and Europe. And the calendar makers appear to have loaded those fights into the same time slot. One senior Palace voice lamented that it would be irresponsible to play Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Glasner singled out the wider governing structure when he remarked that it would be nice if the Premier League, UEFA, and EFL talked together because it is not so surprising that this can happen. He referenced a meeting held in July where FIFA and players' organizations recommended a mandatory 72 hours between 2 competitive games, advice he says is being ignored. Glasner's argument is not theoretical. He frames this as a question of player welfare, performance sustainability, and competitive fairness. 2 days of rest, he believes, is not enough when navigating the physical and mental demands of the Premier League plus Cup and Europe. "At Palace we have responsibility for the players and we have to look after their welfare," he asserted. "That's our main responsibility, and not just at the club. If the club's star players are fatigued, risk injury, or are underprepared, the ripple effects are significant, league results suffer, cup runs falter, and European ambitions stall. For a club such as Palace, which has aspirations beyond mere survival, that isn't acceptable." Glasner's plan is clear: request the match at Leeds to be moved forward, thereby giving the players an extra day of recovery before the cup tie. "We're trying the same thing that Arsenal is," Glasner confirmed. "We're trying to move the Leeds game forward to Saturday so that we have 2 days between these games. Let's see. We didn't get a response yet from the Premier League." His mention of Arsenal is telling. Palace are not alone in this struggle. Their cup opponent Arsenal are themselves handling a congested fixture list and have also tried to move a Premier League game against Everton to ease the burden. What this case illustrates is an underlying fault line in the modern football calendar. The proliferation of domestic cups, expanded European tournaments, more broadcast windows, midweek fixtures, international breaks, and travel burdens have combined to create an increasingly compressed schedule for many clubs. The club's case is aggravated by the timing of cup draws and the release of UEFA calendar slots. Palace's involvement in the Conference League means they occupy midweek slots, leaving fewer free weekends or quiet weeks in December. When that coincides with a deep domestic cup run, the combination becomes perilous. The English governing bodies themselves, via the English Football League in a statement, admitted that the expansion of European Cup competition